I'm looking for a home.
Looking for a home?
Oh, look, there it is. Whee!
Wait!
February 25th.
I put my hoop in my flow and now I'm pimping the streets. Give me 2 minutes, maybe 3, and I'll be pimping your free. I chill with T-Fast, Big Watson, GC. G-Dash counting that cash, so we chillin' with me. I multiply my...
Do you want to unlock your puddle lights? Well, today I'll be showing you 5 simple ways to wire them up. And if you're ready, let's get to it.
Somebody had to do it. I am the chosen one.
So some of you guys have some questions on how to wire them up to do different things like running light or maybe turn signal. So that's what we'll be checking out today. If you're thinking of doing a mod like this, I would highly recommend that you upgrade your puddle lights. And if you haven't checked out how we did that, I'll link that video on top of the screen right here for you guys. And if you're having any problems upgrading your puddle lights or you just want to show your support towards the channel, I can make them as a plug and play setup. So you can see here I added the terminal so you don't have to splice or cut your wiring. And if you'd like to get a quote from me, I'll have my Instagram here, which is Migo713.
All right, everybody, let's get started. Big day.
The way the factory puddle lights work right now is through this white wire with a 12-volt signal. So I'll have to interface it. So it'll be this white wire, and on the top of it, you can see that letter F right there. So I'll just cut it around this area here. To interface the wiring, I'll be installing 2 10-amp diodes with the stripes facing up. Here's a better look at the stripe on the top side of the diode, and just make sure it's facing up because if you do it the other way around, it won't work. Alright, so I've already inserted my diodes, I just gotta solder them, but essentially this is what it has to look like. This white wire will go on top of both diodes with the stripe, and then on the bottom you'll have 2 legs left over, one for the factory wire, and then one for your aftermarket wiring. So I'll go ahead and solder this. Alright, they're all soldered up, and I added some heat shrink right here. I do still have to cover up this area because it does have 12 volts, but that's after I just close up all this. And essentially what I've done is just add an extra input to the puddle lights. So right now the factory wiring, as you can see, is still going straight up here. And now with this diode here, I can power up my puddle lights by applying 12 volts to this wire anywhere that I want to connect it to. The reason I'm using diodes is to not give any feedback to the original wiring. So from here, 12 volts will go straight up, but not pass back this diode. And the same way on this side. From the factory, 12 volts only this way and not on this side of it. So I just soldered some 18 gauge wire and I'll be running it through the factory boot into this side. Alright, so I just ran my wire through the factory grommet, so it's sticking out right over here, this red wire. Everything is now tested, taped, and zip tied. The diodes landed right over here, so it should be good with the door panel. It's not going to be getting in the way. And then all the factory wiring is just zip tied in this area as well. You can see it. This wiring process right here will be exactly the same on the driver's side. I'll be making some connections under the dash and the BCM, so I'm going to have to remove this. And I'm going to be making my wires go all the way to the glove box on the passenger side. I'll start off by making my 12 volt connection, and I'll be connecting it into this red and white wire since it has a lot of slack. But I can also use this red one. Either one will work. Alright, so 12 volts is done, and I added an extension so that I can add a fuse here. Now I'll do my turn signal connections, and they're going to be in the first connector, which is brown here. So it's going to be this light blue wire and the one next to it, which is blue. This light blue wire is going to be pin B6, which is the left turn signal. And right next to it is going to be this blue wire, which is pin B7, and that's for the right turn signal. Here's a better look at the connector. On the top left, you can see that letter B. And right in the middle is that light blue and blue wire next to each other. Last time I did my conversion on the mirrors, so I left me some slack. You can see this blue wire and this green one. They're connected to those 2 wires. To make it simple on myself, I'm going to color match this green and blue to these 2 wires that I already have. For the best connection, I would do a military splice, poking a hole in the wire, and then sticking the new one and wrapping it around. Okay, turn signals are done, and I also went ahead and put on my fuse and tucked the wires in a little bit, so it looks a little bit better. And now I'll be hooking up this last wire on the BCM, which is the headlight wire, and I'll be connecting it on this connector here. This white wire, which is on pin A11. Here's a better close-up. You can see on the top left it says A, and pin 11 is the white wire. Those are all the connections at the BCM, and now it's looking much better. I ran all the wiring to the top, that way it's not going to be getting in the way over here of the glove box. The 2 red wires here on the left are my puddle lights, so if I apply 12 volts, they'll turn on. And these wires here are the ones from the BCM. The white wire is my headlight wire, the green wire is my left turn signal, this red wire is 12 volts all the time, and then my blue wire is the right turn signal. And if you want to control them manually, you could do a switch right here. So both puddle lights will be on one side of the switch and the other side will be powered up by the 12-volt wire. And in this case, of course, you wouldn't use the headlight wire or the turn signals. So using a switch is pretty basic, but it works. And there are actually some nicer switches, but I won't be doing this one on my truck. So if you're looking for something simple, a switch might be the way to go, and you can do it manually anytime you want. Next up, some of you guys have asked me how to hook them up as running lights, and what I would do is add a relay. Both puddle lights will get connected on pin 87, which in this case is the yellow wire. On the relay, pin 30 gets connected to 12 volts, so in this case the blue wire is pin 30. And to power up the relay, pin 86, which is the white wire, gets connected to the headlight truck wire. This way they'll only come on at night and not in the daytime. And finally, pin 85, which is the black wire, will get grounded. For this example, I'm just using this spot right here, but you do want to make sure you have a good ground. So I'll just turn on the headlights manually, and you can see the puddle lights are on right there. And of course, they're not going to be the brightest in the daytime, but they look real good at night. And if I turn them off, they'll still function as the puddle lights whenever I open up the door. So there you can see they're good. So if you wanted to use them as turn signals, all you do is connect them to the turn signal wires coming off the BCM or steering column, and you would not need the headlight wire or the 12-volt wire. I'll try them out with the hazards. Whenever they're hooked up on turn signal, they will do the hazards as well. You can see that they're on right there, except that I have the white LEDs right now, and that's why I went ahead and tried on the amber one, and they look real good at night.
Every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling,
If you wanted to do a combination of running light and turn signal, what I would do is run the two puddle light wires to two separate relays, just how I did on my LED door handles, and I'll have that video linked right here on top of the screen for you guys. Essentially, you would tap into the side marker right here. The positive and negative would go on pin 86 and 85 to power up the relay. That way at nighttime it'll be solid, and whenever you do the turn signal, it'll blink as well. So this would be my left turn signal powered up by the left side marker. Pin 87 will get connected to the left puddle light, and then that'll be your left turn signal right there and running light. And the right side marker will power up this relay, and pin 87 will be on the right puddle light right here for the 12-volt output. And on both relays, pin 30, which is the blue wire, will get connected to 12 volts all the time. You can see my LED door handle connection here, so I'm just going to put this adapter for this test. Alright, so there it's connected, and you can see I'm only using one wire, which is pin 87, the 12-volt output. I have both puddle lights connected to the relays, and this is a temporary setup just to show you how it works. I'm going to be wearing mine as coronary lights.
Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, hustling, hustling. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, hustling, hustling. Every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, every day I'm hustling, hustling, hustling. Every day I'm hustling, 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 hustling.
To wire up the coronary lights, I'll be using some 18-gauge wire and my favorite 2 timer relays. And I'll have these items linked down below in the description for you guys. So these are just the 2 ground wires for the relays. My 2 puddle light wires, 1 for each relay. The one with the tape is my right side. And on the wires from the BCM, I'm going to split this 12-volt wire so that I can have 2. And I also will split the white wire so that I can have 2 headlight wires. Alright, so now I have 2 separate headlight wires and also 2 separate 12-volt wires. Now for the fun part of hooking up the relays, I've already tinned my wires with some solder, so that way the hairs are not going to be flying around. And I did it to all of them, except that on these I added some tape so that they wouldn't be touching, because they do have some 12 volts and they're the BCM connections. So first I'll do the grounds and my outputs to the puddle lights. On the left side of the relay, the bottom terminal is ground. Each puddle light gets connected on the bottom right terminal. So this is my left one right here, and on the right side, if you remember, I added the tape, so it's on the bottom right corner. Next I'll do the 12-volt connection, and it'll be on the right side middle terminal of each relay. Okay, so now we got 12 volts done, and it should look something like this, with the 2 red wires on the right side, and then the ground is still here on the bottom left. The headlight wire will go on the top left of each relay. The final 2 connections are the turn signals, and those will go on the middle pins of each relay. This one is my right turn signal, so blue will go on this side, and my green wire will go on the left relay. Alright, so that's all the wiring on the relays, and just make sure that you have no strands of copper sticking out, because you don't want them to touch. Now the relays have to get programmed, but before that I will clean up the wiring, and I added some double-sided tape in the back to help me mount them as well. The relays are looking good, and I just added a zip tie in the middle just to make sure they're not going to fall off. And whenever I close the glove box, it's pretty close, but it clears it. Okay, now that the relays are mounted, I'll go ahead and turn on the headlights. That way we can program them for cornering light. To program the relays, what you want to do is make sure and press on the first button and hold it. And then you'll see the letter P. You want to be on menu 4, so it'll say P/4. If you press it one more time, you can see it's got the 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So you want to be on P4. After that, just press on the middle button. And what you want to have here is a 001 without no dots on it. So pressing this middle button here will select the number. You go to the next number, just make sure there's 00. And then this one, change it to 1. And that's for 1 second. So that's good. Press it again in the middle. And then you press one more time to make sure this decimal is going to go away, so you don't want no dots on here. So there you can see it's gone. With this programming, the puddle lights will stay on solid whenever I'm doing the turn signal, and they'll just have a 1 second delay off. For the cornering lights to work, I have to have my headlights on. So I'll do my turn signal here, and you can see that the puddle light is on solid. And once the turn signal is off, the puddle light will just have a 1 second delay off. So there you can see it was just 1 second, and then it goes completely off. If I wanted more, I could just increase the number on the relays. Remember, we just programmed that 001. For example, I just adjusted the timer to a 4 second delay. Here you can see the 4 second, and that one is still 1 second. So if I do my turn signal, you can see it on, and then once it turns off, it should stay on for 4 seconds. Alright, so now it's off. So just something like that, you know, if you want to change it up, you can. I like the 1 second because I don't want it to stay on too long.
We gon' show 'em how it's done like this, like this, like this. So get your money, baby, work it, choose a pro, like this. 'Cause I ain't hating on nobody getting dough, like this. I'm just observing while I'm serving up this dough, like this. I watch you earn it while I'm burning up this dough.
And now the Tahoe's a little fancy with my cornering puddle lights, but in reality, I could actually run some more wiring out here and put a light more towards the front so it can be like a real cornering light. But that's just for a future upgrade, and for now I'll just keep it up here with my puddle lights. Those are some of the ways that the puddle lights can be wired up, and if you have a favorite, let me know down below in the comments. My favorite too is going to be the cornering light setup, which is the way I have it wired up right now in the Tahoe. Whenever I do the turn signal, you can see that the puddle light just stays solid and it'll light up all this section. And besides that, also the turn signal by itself. So maybe down the road, if I get bored of this setup, I'll just have them do the turn signals, because I think those look pretty good as well. If I missed anything, let me know down below. I love reading your comments. And also, if this video helped you out or you like this content, don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.